Wow. I don't know if I have anything more to say. Those who know me, I always have something more to say. Well, I want to begin by thanking all of you for being here and welcoming me. I love this first principle, unity principle. There is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God is good. God is good. So can we talk? Can we really talk about God? Is there another word other than God that would make you more comfortable? You can speak it in the room or in your heart.
Spirit.
Spirit.
Source.
Source.
Divine energy.
Divine energy.
Super subconscious.
Super subconscious. I love it all. And to me, it's all equal. You know, it's all the same. One has no, for inside me, none of them have different ratings or scorings. So do you believe in God? And what is a belief?
It's not a belief, it's an awareness and a knowing.
Yeah, because a belief is an idea. A belief is an idea. Beliefs come and go. And what's in the middle of the word belief? The word lie. L-I-E. And so the question then becomes, I mean, I remember people asking me, do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? And I remember it coming and going and wondering about that. But then when I knew God, yeah. So God, knowing is certain, right? God is certain. And so what else is true for you about knowing God?
In all.
God is in all. God is love. God is in all.
Kind of like gravity. Whether you believe it or not, you're going to hit the ground when you fall.
Right. Right. I love that. It is like gravity. And the other metaphor about gravity is constant. And God is constant. And we move in and out of the awareness of the presence of God. And in Jerry and my morning practice, we call ourselves forward into the presence of God. That's how we begin our morning practice. That's what works for us. But I want to pause here about the knowing. Because there are times that it feels like we don't know God. But still, the constant, right? Does anyone else have anything more to share about that?
It's like a Muslim friend of mine said to me once, these tapestries that are woven, there will be always be an imperfection in there because only Allah is perfect.
Yes. So for those that you didn't hear, or people watching the recording, there are traditions that artists weave in imperfections to know that a human did it, because I'm adding my interpretation, because only Allah, only God is perfect. Yeah. In fact, I had a client this week who said, "Oh, I want to do art, but I can't do it because I don't want to make a mistake." And I told her exactly that there are traditions that do that. Okay, so that meditation that Judy led us through was so beautiful. And I'm just going to invite us to close our eyelids again and just become aware of our breath. Just notice when you're breathing in, you're breathing in. And when you're breathing out, you're breathing out. We're so used to using our imagination against us, but let's use our imagination for us in this moment. And imagine that our exhale is God's inhale. And God's exhale is our inhale. And just feel that flow of inhale and exhale. And what's present now? Does anyone want to share what's present for them now?
God got us all that is.
God got us all that is. I think everyone wants to just stay there. It's amazing that when we put our attention on something, it expands, it deepens our conscious awareness of that. So I'm going to invite you back into the room. And I'm going to share teachings of universal intelligence, God, from one of my current spiritual teachers, Sydney Banks. I never had the pleasure of meeting him. He passed away in 2009. And this is the 50th anniversary of his enlightenment experience and teachings, and tens of thousands of people around the world are sharing how he describes life. Every human mind has direct access to its experience here on earth. The human mind always has access to its own spiritual roots from whence it came. The universal mind, or impersonal mind, also known as God, is constant and unchangeable. Different words for what we were just talking about. The personal mind, or ego, is in a perpetual state of change. All humans have the inner ability to synchronize their personal mind, ego, with their impersonal mind, universal mind, or God, to bring harmony into their lives. Like, that is harmony. It's so simple. Harmony is the synchronization of human mind and universal mind.
The two shall be one.
The two shall be one. And we have this inner feedback, constant GPS, some people call God's positioning system, that tells us whether we're moving toward personal mind or whether we're moving toward universal mind. The brain and the mind are two entirely different things. The brain is biological and the mind is spiritual. The brain acts like a computer. Whatever you put in is all you get out. This is logic. An important thing to realize is that universal mind and personal mind are not two minds thinking differently, but two ways of using the same mind or minds. So, I kind of see it like there's two windows in the back of the room. If I look out the personal mind window, I'm filled with doubt, insecurity, questioning, comparing, judging. And when I look out the other window, the spiritual window, there's clarity and comfort and peace and unconditional loving. There was a time, a long time in my life, where I thought, how do I just stay focused on the spiritual window? How do I just live from the spiritual window? How do I look more out of the spiritual window? For some reason, I thought that that's what spirituality was. I'm laughing because it doesn't look like that to me now. And then through Sydney Banks' teachings, I became aware of, like, the whole of me is both windows. I know it seems so obvious now. And it might seem obvious to most of you, but it wasn't so obvious to me. And so because of that, when I'm looking out the egoic window, I'm just not bothered by it anymore. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to change it. I don't have to heal it. I don't have to bless it. I don't have to journal about it. I can do all those things, but I don't have to, because it's the part of the whole of who I am. And there's something that has become so beautiful for me in that. So how can you experience God more often?
Not taking self seriously.
Not taking yourself seriously, being in silence,
Stay in your heart.
staying in your heart,
Being in nature.
being in nature.
Just let it happen.
Just let it happen. Kind of like what we were talking before. It's constant, and just let life happen.
Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it be.
Let it be. And when I think that or feel that, I know I'm just looking out the window of the ego that only wants to see that, to maintain the illusion of safety, security, and control. I recently became aware of how uncomfortable I was with almost any level of physical, mental, or emotional discomfort. Like I didn't really realize what I would do to get out of discomfort. The habits, the patterns are so natural that I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice. And the more I've become aware of the all of me, and the more I see that discomfort is like the Colorado weather, constantly moving and changing. And I would never walk outside and try and manage that weather. I might have some words about it, but I would never go outside and manage. And I'm learning to not go inside and manage the weather in here. And just know storms come and go. And as one of my clients said, all storms run out of rain. All storms run out of rain. Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. Yeah. And to know that we really have everything that we need in the moment. Now, we've all heard that. But can you tap into an experience where that showed up for you? Where you had everything you needed in the moment? Yeah, so I'd love to explore that for a few minutes if you're all up for that, because I think we've all had moments of anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. You all still have a pulse, right? So we've heard that 90-some%, it doesn't matter whether it's 92 or 95% of thought is below the conscious level, right? So I'm feeling my subconscious thinking. And there's lots of things that we can do to shift that, to explore it, to excavate it. It makes no sense to me now to do that, because all that does is, it's like picking at a wound. It just keeps it, perpetuates it. But when I know there's weather passing through, I can let God pass the weather through. Like, there's weather. Anxiety is weather. It's a storm. And if we try and do something with the storm, we can often end up in a panic attack just from trying to get rid of the storm, right? But the storm passes on its own. It's amazing. It's amazing to know that the storm passes on its own. And when it comes to anxiety, if we were to have a doctor or nurse come in and inject us in our veins with the amount of adrenaline and cortisol that gets released when we have a panic attack, we would all have our own experiences of shortness of breath, clammy hands, wiggling bodies. Like, we would all have that. And if we did nothing, in 4.5 minutes, the half-life is gone. And when you know, like you know God, that in 4.5 minutes, the half-life of the adrenaline and cortisol and epinephrine that's released in your body, from your brain into your body, is gone. You can leave it alone. And that can be, and has been, the end of panic attacks for thousands of people. Knowing that. It's amazing. So thank you for bringing that in here.
When you think about people that are in a hurricane, trying to survive a hurricane and trying to pick up after a hurricane, spending all their time focusing on what caused the hurricane.
Yes.
Like, why did this happen? Why, where did this come from? Instead of focusing on rebuilding and living. And I just thought, wow, what a futile waste of energy. But that's exactly what the mind does.
Yes, the personal mind, the ego.
I want to journal about it. I want to figure it out.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And you were just blessed and gifted an insight that will have ramifications. Yeah.
The weather pattern
Yeah.
clicked in me.
Carolyn Mace did a whole seminar just on that
Yeah.
in Winter Park, and she said quantum physics works this way. Okay, you come home, your husband tells you he's having an affair. It's 2:00. You call the lawyer at 3:00. 5:00, you got him out. 6:00, you're on your way. And I was like, wow. That's happened 8 years ago. And I'm still sitting here going, okay, gotta figure this out. Why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
So this is just food for my soul.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Oh.
Yeah, the figuring it out. Like, when I'm looking out the ego window, when I'm trying to figure it out, like, have you ever had a better idea than God?
Well, we feel that way.
I know. We do. And we hear God's messages, and then we think it's ours. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's important to recognize too that our bodies are physiologically chemical too.
Yes.
And that when I realize that I'm having anxiety, there's no reason that I can come up with why I should be feeling it. But our bodies are in biological rhythms, and certain chemicals get released at certain times of the day. And particularly like early in the morning when your body is normally kicking into a wake up and get going mode, and those chemicals come in, and we're not even aware that that's happening until we feel that angst, that anxiety. And it's helped me to understand that this is a chemical thing, because I'm not thinking of anything.
Right. It is a chemical thing. And the way I understand it is the chemical response is in reaction to subconscious thinking. And there are some spiritual paths and some self-help paths that say that if you excavate and explore all the possible causes, that you'll be free of that. I tried it for about 10 years. It wasn't very effective. But it was very effective. I'm sorry. I want to take that back. It was effective temporarily. Now I just, so I used to be medicated for anxiety. And then I meditated for my anxiety, and then I prayed before I knew that there was anything to pray for, before I had any relationship with God to pray. I did all these things to try and manage my anxiety, understand it, process it. And now I have become so sensitive. Like who would want, before it was like, I never wanted to be sensitive to anxiety, but I've become so sensitive to it that as soon as I have a breath or two that's shallower than my regular breath, that's like a divine tap on the shoulder. Ellen, wake up, come here. Because Sydney teaches, some of his students teach that we are either here or here. We're either in our thinking, in our symptoms, or we're in our life, or in the room. And I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time here. And so just that awareness, just a shift in the feeling, the energy of my body, however you feel the chemicals can be a wake-up call to come here.
And that's what I was going to point out.
Oh, I'm sorry that I interrupted you.
Now that I know that, I use that as a redirection.
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry that if I interrupted you.
I was being wordy or something.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's a redirection. And that redirection can be in a split second.
Also, Ellen, use your God-given talents, like after a hurricane. I would be the one out there to clear the land and then build something again.
Yes.
Because it's my engineering gift that God gave me.
Use your God-given talents.
Other ones have other talents.
Right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Did I miss something?
Glance this way and anxiety.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
We can also, out of our anxiety, cause anxiety. Scott and I
Yes.
are CMU basketball fans, and we watched Friday night's game was for the boys was very physical, and there were a lot of fouls being called, and we would attribute that to the physicality of the other team, of course. But the coach for the other team was shouting at the refs all the time, every time a foul was called against his team, and yet it was happening on both sides, because once you started that behavior, it just expanded, because that was the focus. The physicality of the game became more of the focus than the sportsmanship or the joy of the game for a time. And you just see it play out in all kinds of situations.
Yeah. Where your focus and attention
Much
is.
easier to see it in others than in ourselves.
Yes. Yes, we're masterful at that.
If we could stop that and redirect, then we can avoid a lot of the.
Yeah. So one way is to stop and redirect, and one way is to know that we've just been drifting off to, you know? I'm so grateful for all of your participation and attention. And I think I just want to complete with some gratitude to my parents and grandparents that never used the word God unless it was followed by two other words. Seriously. That wasn't bless you. And I struggled with that for a long time, but I am so grateful to have developed and to be able to continue to develop my own relationship with God. And I just want to say, no matter what we were raised with, brought up with, trained with, our personal relationship with God can be ever present, here and now, and ever expanding and developing.